Good afternoon, everybody. It is my honor to bring to you a very special conversation with Dr. M. Ramachandran, former Chief Secretary of Uttarakhand and former Secretary Ministry of Urban Development, Government of India, and current Chancellor of the ICFAI University of Dehradun. We are very happy to announce that today his book, Bringing Governments and People Closer, a development practitioner's prescriptions, was released at the hands of the Honorable Vice President of India, Dr. M. Venkaiah Naidu. Well, we are very happy that the book has been released. We felt we should understand from Dr. M. Ramachandran how his journey in bringing this book to the reader went about, and therefore we thought we'll have a short conversation with him. Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Congratulations on the launch of your book, Bringing Governments and People Closer, a development practitioner's prescription. Sir, would you like to take us through your book's journey? How did the idea come to you? What made you write on governance, and what was your entire experience in writing and getting this book published?
Thank you for this opportunity of reaching out to essentially the younger generation, I suppose. And I'm glad this book, which has been released today, is getting covered. Bringing governments and people closer. When I say governments, I'm talking of it could be the central government, it could be the state governments, it could be the local governments. So governments, people have to be dependent on government for very many things. I'm sure we all experience in our day-to-day lives that when we have to get something done from any of the government system or offices, the number of inconveniences, hassles one has to go through. During my career, when I was in the service and when I have held different positions, I've been seeing this, I've been listening to people, I've been getting to know about problems people face. So one tries to bring about improvements, but that is not enough. What is important is we should have a system whereby you or me, anyone who has something to do with a government office, whether it is getting a certificate, whether it is getting a verification done, whether it is getting a benefit out of a scheme, it should be done in what I call a hassle-free manner. Now, I'm sure all of us have any number of instances to narrate where approaching a government system or office is not a happy experience. That has to change. So I thought one has to focus on, one, the problems which you all face. It's well known, but still they need to be stated. Two, how can the scenario be changed? That is what is important. Those who are part of the government system, probably when they are in government, they don't really understand and appreciate this. Maybe some of them, when they get out, they get to know about it much more, about the inconveniences. So we have to have a system whereby people do not have to take the trouble of either paying a bribe or doing various visits to offices and things like that. How can that be arranged? And it is the individual's right. I mean, there could be situations where it could be yes or no, but even if it is yes or no, under what circumstances it could be yes, and what circumstances it will be no, that should be clearly no. Transparency. So it's out of my own experience of working in government and after retirement, interacting with different people, different platforms, different fora, different offices, that I thought we need to focus on this. And luckily, at this time, the central government has this theme of minimum government, maximum governance, which is a very important theme. It looks very simple, but what it really means is that one shouldn't have the necessity of interacting with a face on the other side. Things should get done. So, how to expedite that process, how to make that happen? Those who have traveled abroad would have realized there are very many countries where things get done without having a human interface or human interaction. It should be possible in our country as well, and it's more relevant for us because we talk about the national capital, the mega cities, the normal cities and towns, but we also talk about the rural areas, villages, where life is probably even more complicated. Today technology is making a difference, but even within that technology, the point I'm trying to state is technology should be accessible to people who are not tech savvy. One may not be literate, one may not have the experience of handling computers and things like that. How does such person get the benefit of this digitalization and things like that without any hassle? That also becomes important. Otherwise, we'll be creating a new culture where you go to the service center or so, then you have to spend some money to get anything done. He will say the server is not working, there is no electricity and things like that. That scenario should not depress people. So even though there is technology, technology should be facilitating. One could have a situation where sitting at home one can access this, but every rural household may not be in a position to do so. So one has to be dependent. So one has to look at all these aspects and see how best we can ensure that what the government is supposed to provide, which is everyone's right, that becomes available to the person concerned, and I term it hassle-free. Hassle-free in the purest sense of the term, no bribe, no contacts, no harassment, no problems to be faced. How can we reach that scenario? And it is possible. And there are any number of services, so it's not enough to address one service. People talk about today getting a passport is easy, but passport is for a limited section of people. There is a large segment who are dependent on either their land titles or a driving license or getting a property registered and things like that. Or people belonging to weaker sections who need to get the benefit of a scheme. So there are so many such areas, so we should be able to cover each and every one of these areas where this should be hassle-free. That is the broad message I'm trying to give out through this book, which I hope will reach largest number of people, and the government systems will take it up because next year we'll be celebrating 75 years of our independence. What best a scenario than during the 75th year, or by the time we reach the 75th year, we can tell that any individual in this country who wants to access a service or a facility which the government is supposed to provide can do so with confidence without any hassle.
Thank you. We like your idea of hassle-free service and hassle-free living for the common man. A related question, when did this idea come to you and how did it take shape?
As I mentioned, I have been experiencing this because last 10 years there has been time where I participate in various programs, interact with people, sometimes in some far off areas, sometimes in big cities. So, and in normal conversations one keeps hearing about these problems and how the problems are addressed. We have other methods of addressing them. So I kept thinking that why should it be so? And especially people like us who have been part of a service, we are supposed to be committed to providing service to the people. I always say those who want to make money should go to other areas. Those who want to do something for the country should enter the services like this. So during one service, one makes an effort, but then, as I said, one is part of a system. And the consciousness has to be there that the change has to come about. And today there is an atmosphere for bringing about that change. So it's about a year back that otherwise I've been writing on infrastructure issues and urban issues. My previous 9 books were on all such issues, including one on my administrative experiences. So I thought, why not focus on this particular topic and try to suggest what needs to be done, because it comes from out of the experience of a person who has handled the system for so many years at different positions. And I always state this, I feel proud in that. When I was in districts, I used to have visitors for 3 to 4 hours, one after the other. Large number of visitors coming with their problems. And I've always been thinking then also, now also, why should people have to come with their problems? Shouldn't there be solutions to problems? And they have to approach the topmost functionary in the district with a solution. And even when they approach, it is not certain that the solution will become available, because it has to go through the system and goes to some level who is supposed to do it. And knowing our mentality and mindset, that person at the other end, some of them could say that, oh, you went to the top, let me see whether your work will get done or not. That's also our mindset in some places. All this has to change. So what is one's right? Of course, rights go with duties also. That part is being addressed, but these are all the day-to-day requirements of people. And I narrated another simple example, getting a pension. In earlier days, not someone who has served in government, but an old age pension also. Getting a pension is an old person's right. He or she should not have to go to 10 different officers or functionaries and try to locate them and find out how will I get a pension sanctioned. It should reach him or her. That is the type of system we have to have, because for that person, that small amount which he or she gets as a pension, that becomes important, and it should become available regularly. Now, in that there could be hassles like sometimes budget provision is not there for 6 months, the pension is not distributed. There were situations like this also. I hope it has all changed today. So I felt very, very deeply about these things when I traveled also, that entitlement to pension is something which is there. If I have a land in my name, my land record is my right. If I have to get a property registered, I should be able to get it done in a comfortable manner. Quite often they talk about the registration offices where one has to, spend money to get the registration done. And we are also familiar with the system of, okay, if you are not prepared to spend, I'll find 10 ways of raising objections so that you won't get what you want immediately or quickly. So all that needs to be checked. We have to have mechanisms in position whereby such objections cannot be raised. If you recall the auto system which has come about, approval of construction maps. You wait for, after applying, you wait for 60 days, then if there is no response, it is supposed to have been approved. But in our system, on the 59th day, some silly objection will be raised, so you are stuck.
The book has a special message by the Vice President of India, Shri M. Venkaiah Naidu ji. Would you like to say something?
Yeah, I'm privileged that Shri M. Venkaiah Naidu ji, the Vice President, has been good enough to me, and he has encouraged my writing, and he has seen my work, he has appreciated my work, and I made a request, and I thought this is something where someone of his eminence could comment, that what is meant by bringing governments closer to people and what needs to be done. So it has been gracious of him to give a message saying that these are the types of changes we need today. And in line with the government's thinking today, we have to bring about these changes. Delivery has to change. The method of delivery has to change. And in his full message, he has highlighted all these aspects as to what changes need to take place. And I'm grateful that he has highlighted the point that a topic of current day's relevance has been taken up for my writing in this book. And both he and the Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister have appreciated this effort, and one hopes that with the messages we have, these messages will help the book to reach to a larger number of people, especially those who have to undertake implementation of some of the ideas given in this.
A last point from you. What would be your message to the future generation and today's students, be it in management education or the overall student population? What would be your message to them on governance?
One has always heard and one believed that the youth can make a difference. So what is not there today, what needs to change? An organized approach to bring about change by today's youth could make a big difference. Small examples, you have to learn to line up if you are approaching a person or an office or a counter or so. And if someone breaks that line, you should be able to politely point out that this is not done. So that is a starting point as far as today's youth is concerned, because they are much more aware, they are much more tech savvy, they have a better overview of what is happening globally. So with that type of approach, I am sure every youngster would want systems to be proper as far as our day-to-day living is concerned. So I do hope they will go through this book and they will also partake in the process of bringing about this change. I always say, not through revolutions, not through protests. You should be able to get people together and bring about the change. That is what is important, and that is possible if the youth want it. First, by setting one's own example. Second, by getting together to get these changes made. I take the example of the recent pandemic. If we had area sabhas active, that is at a polling booth level in the urban hierarchy concept. There is supposed to be a level at the polling booth level where 1,500 voters would be there. If the area sabhas were active, if they had full information about people who need help, who need medical attention, who do not have anyone to help them, who need ration, who need food supplies, if you have full information available at that area level, that would have got escalated to the next higher level of ward and then to the local body level. We would have had a better system of governing these issues if we had a system like that. Now, that is an area where I think the youth resident in a particular area can take the lead and get it organized, whether it is formally there or not. You list the requirements of people, especially special requirements. Now, a maid coming to our house and delivering a service, where does she come from? What is the difficulty she has to face? Or as I said, a single person living, maybe he is a handicapped person or he needs medical help. What is the type of help he or she requires and how can that be ensured? Because that has to be ensured also. The person will not be able to get out. And when there is lockdown and things like that, life becomes even more difficult. So these are all areas where we can make a beginning. And while conversing, we were earlier taking an example, when you board an aircraft, when you are about to land, many of us have a tendency all get up at the same time and try to get out of the aircraft. Whereas the discipline is the first row goes first, second row goes first, that is what needs to be followed. But if a youngster takes the trouble of pointing out if there is someone breaking that politely, then that brings about the change. The other person will always remember later whenever he is traveling or trying to violate, oh, at that time I was reminded about this, I should go by this. And that causes inconvenience. So these are all the changes which was the civic sense which the Honorable Vice President emphasized. These are all the areas where we can bring about change without a legislation being there or somebody superimposing from above. We start at our level and that way the change comes about. And then people will say, oh, students of that particular institution, they are always well behaved and they are disciplined about their approach. That brings about the change. So when we have a plethora of institutions like that in our society, the change will definitely happen. Even those who use might as their right, they will also fall in line. It is possible.
Thank you, sir. Let's hope the book brings about change in people's thinking on hassle-free living and on governance. Best wishes to you once again. Congratulations. And I hope the population of tomorrow takes heed of whatever you have asked them to do in the book.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.